Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today's a really good day because the weather is great. First thing I want to talk about, the weather has been really great, nice and sunny, nice and warm. Hopefully you won't get too hot putting this fuel system in. And that's the other thing, we are going to be putting our fuel system in this car. So we'll just kind of go over what we got going on as far as parts. And we'll just kind of run through it, and I'll be installing it, show you guys how I do the fuel system in these all-wheel drive cars. Let's kind of run through what we got going on as far as like the parts I used. That's stuff that's already installed. I've already installed a few things off camera because like I said, I work fast when I'm not filming things, and sometimes I just don't have time to film this stuff. So let's kind of run through what we got installed on the car. Hopefully you guys can see we're running a 10-gallon SPD fuel cell. It has metal baffling on the inside of it, so no foam. It's all E85 friendly and all that kind of stuff. We have a -890 coming off the supply or the return. That's going to be running straight to the fuel pressure regulator. We'll get to that once we get in the engine bay. But for now, we'll talk about this line. It's going to go through a bulkhead fitting, which we'll get through that, or we'll get to that later on in the video. And straight to the fuel pressure regulator from there. And we have another -90 or a -890 coming off here for the feed. And it goes to our AWD fuel filter. This is a 10 micron filter. We're running an internal pump. The sock on that pump is a 100 micron filter, so that would be our pre-filter. If you're running an external pump, usually you run like 100 micron before the pump, then your fuel pump, and then a 10 micron, whether it's in your engine bay or under the car still. But being that this is an internal pump, the fuel sock is our pre-filter. And this will also, this is a 45 right here because that's what I had. I'm trying to save money. And another 45, and it's going to work out great because it's going to go through here, through the trunk pan, kind of at that angle where there's like a little hole right there that I drilled to see where it pops out on the other side. But next to that, we're going to have another -8 bulkhead fitting going under the car to the fuel rail. All right, so there's our AWD regulator. We got a -8 45 coming off that, going to the fuel rail on, this would be the driver's side of the fuel rail or the transmission side with a -890. And this is all Summit Racing -8. The stuff I bought is, the other stuff I bought, which I'll show you guys in a second, is Ace Race. And cool thing about this hybrid fuel rail is there's a center port right here. We're going to be running our feed through that. It's going to be kind of tricky, kind of a pain, because I got to take the fuel rail off so I can get my fittings on there. And every time I have to either swap the rail or swap the line or make sure it's not, you know, like if it's leaking, I have to change it or kind of service it. It's going to be kind of a pain, but it's going to look nice. I wanted to avoid putting a 180 right here. So we'll see how that goes. That's it. So -8 is going to come through here. Next to this, my plan is to run the return through the mount and the frame rail. Because you know the 90 is right here, and it's just going to be easier to access that. It'd be a nice straight shot. And the straight coming off this, we're going to be running a -8 straight. That's going to be running underneath this charge pipe, kind of away from the return line. And we're going to go through the subframe. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that little gap, maybe not, but through there under the car, and then we're going to be going to the fuel cell. Alright, so I kind of turned exposure down on my camera. Sorry guys, it was like really bright. So, just really quick, the remainder of the parts we need to install on this car to get the fuel system in. And real quick guys, this is the last thing I got to do to get this car running, and then we got to throw a base map on. Set up the Haltech, because it's a little different. It's not just like a K-Pro where you upload a base map and the ECU is already kind of coded for the car. This is like a universal computer. So I'm going to be hitting up Frank's Garage on YouTube. I have him on Instagram, real good guy. He's going to help me out get the ECU set up. But real quick, I want to show you guys, so shout out to Frank. Anyway, real quick, we got our -8 components and our fuel pump. Let's talk about this fuel pump. This is a Hellcat Walbro 525 internal pump. This will be plenty for what we want to make for the car. I think this fuel system is probably good for 650 to 7 maybe. Talk to my tuner about that one. But anyway, it's a pretty high flowing pump. We upgraded from an AEM 340 that was in a car previously. And we have our little install kit. It has like the fuel sock. This little white fuel sock in here, which let me take out and show you guys. This would be our pre-filter. So it's individually wrapped, so you don't want to get any crud on there. But you guys seen this before. You know, you take your fuel pump out, there's that little filter looking thing hanging from it. That would be our pre-filter. So we have Ace Race -8 line. This is reinforced rubber for ethanol. It's about $120 after tax. I went ahead and picked it up because they are local to me. This is 20 feet. Let's hope that is enough to get our feet in return. Crossing my fingers because I don't want to buy another roll just because I need a couple more feet. That would suck, but we would get through that if that were the case. Just another hurdle. No big deal. This is the last thing. We're almost done with this car. These are our -8 bulkheads. We're going to probably shove the short end down so we have the most clearance under the car, and I'll show you guys why I'm debating on doing that. And on this side will face inside the trunk, and they will be the fittings, the bulkhead fittings, we got two, one for feed return. They'll be locked in with these -8 nuts. And these are two brand new -8 straights. These are used, but they're in great shape. There's no reason to buy new ones. They're kind of getting pricey. These are Fragola. It's the same brand as these. These are pretty good fittings, made in USA, and a local place has them for a pretty good price. So I go ahead and buy them local. These are just our clamps that we're going to use to fasten the fuel lines. So just a little Home Depot special right there. So let's get to doing this. I do want to remove the fuel rail first. Install our ORB-8, which I gotta find. Let me dig that out real quick. Oh, we got a couple little goodies in here. We got another straight right here. Take that out of the bag. This is our -8 ORB. It's gonna come off the fuel rail. So when you guys are doing any kind of fuel system stuff and you need a fitting to come off like a fuel rail, the regulator, your fuel tank or a fuel cell, whatever it may be, use ORB fittings with a straight on one end. So you have less restriction if that's the case. This is what I heard. So you notice one side is -8 flared, or not flared, but it's a male end. Other side is just straight. Versus something like this, both sides are your male end -8s. And also, if there's any ports you're not using on your regulator fuel rail, make sure you plug them with ORB plugs. Simple as that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that fuel rail, and we're going to go ahead and get this fitting on. Alright, so we only got the -8 ORB right there, O-ring side facing the rail. Why is it freaking blurry? Anyway, O-ring side facing inside the rail, the -8 male side facing out for your AN line. Be a little cautious with these injectors. Don't be slamming them around your intake manifold. Try to keep them clean. And I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this fitting now with my air wrench. So I'm cool like that. Got one of these. And we're going to just put these bolts back in with these spacers. Tighten her up. And we're going to run our line. Alright. Carefully cut this plastic. Don't be slicing holes in your lines. This is really hard with one hand. Ah, shit. Alright, so we got it cut open without damaging anything. So most people will probably slice this end off. However, since we are so limited on how much line we have, I'm already going to be cutting it close. I'm just going to simply peel this tape back, and we're going to go ahead and install. And I threw that thing all the way, didn't I? Alright boys, so we got the fuel line. This is a full length. And just real quick, I don't know why people are still cutting these lines with a grinder, making that dust go all up in your lines, dude. Get yourself some cable cutters. They have bigger ones so you can cut your -16, even though I've actually cut -16 with this. These are just cable cutters. Go to Harbor Freight. Genuine Doyle. Yeah, so go to Harbor Freight, get yourself some cable cutters. These cut really straight, there's no dust, no problem. So, back to here real quick. You can see it's hard to see, but I do have, the line doesn't go all the way up to the threads. The camera's having a hard time focusing. But you don't have to do all that. I've done that, and it kind of starts threading into the rubber, like this end of the fitting. I haven't had an issue with that, but it's preferred not to. And I put the slightest amount of WD-40 at the end of this. Got it on this vise with these aluminum adapters. So you just need one hand wrench. Slide that in there. Come on. It's gonna be hard to start. Ah. Alright, time out. Alrighty, that was interesting. She put up a little fight starting the threads, but super easy. Yo. Alright, perfect. You got a nice little... Dude, that gap looks massive on camera, but it's not as bad. So yeah, she fought me, boys. Thought I was gonna lose my mind. I honestly think that's why none of the homies want to come over and help me work on the car. It's either I just have stupid things going on, like everything on this car, like I run into the dumbest problems, or I just lose my mind, right? That's just what I'm known for. Ripping the heads off the motors and throwing the heads. Just kidding. Never done that. Maybe I have. Anyway, so I got to get under the car, run this through the subframe. I'm going to go ahead and jack this side of the car up, the driver's side, a couple jack stands, maybe. Depends how much this car pisses me off. I might not put jack stands on and just freaking let it fall on me. No, I'm just joking. We're going to go ahead and jack this car up and just run this line through the subframe. This is a full 20-foot roll. I did have to cut a little bit off the end of that because, well, the fitting was keep falling off, as you saw in the video. So she's on now. If it leaks, we're going to go ahead and blame the parts because I never make mistakes. Alright, yo, when I'm tracking this car, it feels like I'm lifting a pickup truck. Apparently the K24, that's what I got in there, obviously, weighs more than a freaking J-Series. Someone can look that up and confirm it. Yeah, that's amazing. Whew, it's like I'm jacking up this Honda Passport. Yep. According to Google, K24 is heavier. Doesn't make much sense to me, but that K24 crank weighs as much as your mama. Alright guys, we got these two bolts tightened. We got our fuel line -8 straight tightens running through the runner right there, as you can see. Out the bottom, right here. Through here, we'll find a way to fasten this so it's not in the way of, see what it just did. Just kind of fell right there. It's perfect. So when you guys are putting your fuel rail back in, along with the injectors, obviously, lube up those rings. Sometimes you just got to use a little bit of oil. Diddy approved. Let's get it. Alright, so our next thing, we got our full length of roll, and we're going to go ahead and uncoil that, kind of run it along under the car, cut it to length, find out where we want to put our bulkhead fitting out of the way of the rear diff and all that kind of stuff. Let's just hope that this is enough line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, guys. I started from the front because I feel like it'd be easier, it'd be better, kind of get everything fastened up in there versus starting over here, trying to, you know, run a whole coil through the engine bay and all that kind of crap. So that's why we started up here. Just a better idea. So, alrighty. Alright guys, so it's been a little bit. It's been about a day since I filmed me putting on the fuel lines underneath the car. Just gonna make this outro quick because I went to the Muckleshoot Northwest, or the Northwest Nationals at the drag strip, the Pacific Raceways. Saw some funny cars and all that kind of stuff. That's where I got my t-shirt from. But anyway, so I was gonna go over what I did off camera. I just installed the feed line, and it's pretty much fully installed. There's a couple things I don't really want to do until I get the feed installed with it, because I want to bunch everything up and then fasten it to the car itself. But we'll start in the trunk. I went ahead and actually attached the remainder of the feed line. It's a little dark in here, sorry about that, but damn, it's like really dark in here. My light is dead. But this line right here going from my filter, it goes to that bulkhead fitting. Let me get a light in here so I can show you guys. Alright, so this line right here running from the bulkhead fitting. As we mentioned earlier, I use bulkhead fittings. Kind of want to see how that works out for me. Might be some extra leak points, which kind of sucks, but I like the way it fastens. It's super tight against the trunk pan, so I kind of like that. To the filter, to our feed, we have to just install the fuel pump. I do need to get some ring terminals, like these off my old fuel pump. These little terminals at the end of it. Kind of crimp them onto the new connector for the new fuel pump. Like I said, running a Hellcat 525 Walbro fuel pump. And while we're here, you can kind of see the fuel line hangs a little low for my liking right there. Damn, it's dark in my garage. I'm trying to make a pretty chill outro here, guys. I don't really want to film too much, but it's fastened right there, and there's another bracket, but we will pick up on that as soon as I get the remainder of my fuel lines. So yeah, that's right, the remainder of my fuel lines, because unfortunately a 20-foot roll was not enough for this car, for the feed and the return. So unfortunately, I do have to pick up some more fuel line. So we'll button up the fuel system, and I'm just gonna get some fuel, and we're gonna go ahead and get on with the computer side of it and kind of get a base map, set up all the sensors and all that kind of stuff. So with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to this video. Just a pretty good progress we made on it as far as the fuel lines go. It's actually easier than I thought it was going to be, so I'm pretty stoked about that. With that said, I will see you guys in the next video.